interest in human development projects first developed during my youth while living in Karachi. Little did I know that it would one day take me to Afghanistan, let alone working there for the benefits of its people. Despite the fact that it was a country next to Pakistan, or probably because of it, Afghanistan was as foreign to me as any faraway land. There were a lot of stories just circulating in the media about Afghanistan at that time in the year 2000, but most people took them with a pinch of salt. So did I. When I thought about Afghanistan in my mind, I saw a country under extreme adverse conditions, going through war after war. Never had I imagined that there would be something about the place and its wonderful people that would leave an imprint on my soul for life. It all started with a telephone call in March 2000. I was overseas visiting my daughter. Out of the blue, I received a phone call from Arshad, a former colleague of mine who served in the Special Services Group SSG of Pakistan Navy in the early 70s. He asked me to come back to Pakistan sooner than planned as he had a very important project to discuss with me. He could not give out many details on a long distance call, but he mentioned something about Afghanistan which I promptly forgot. He could not give out many details. We had been together in the Navy and had memories to share. He had recently retired from the service and had this idea of a project in which he wanted my participation. After about 3 such calls, I decided to return to Islamabad earlier and see what could be done. Arriving back in Pakistan in May 2000, I got in touch with him in June of that year as far as I can remember. A month later, we had our first serious meeting on the subject at his house in Islamabad. What he told me was quite interesting and got me thinking long and hard. Here is what he had to say. He had been to Afghanistan earlier in the year with some friends on a surveying tour. He described the abject poverty he saw there and how he thought there was opportunity to help alleviate some of it by starting an economic activity in the Kandahar region, the de facto capital of Afghanistan at that time. He had many activities in mind which needed exploration and a fact-finding mission to that country. There was some like-minded persons who expressed an interest in funding and helping out. He told me that details would be made available shortly and he would take me to visit these people later. The next meeting took place in August, again at Arshad's house in Islamabad, and proved to be very thought-provoking. We were joined by 2 men from Afghanistan who were ex-Mujahideen and had fought against the Russians. They were volunteers who decided to do something for their beloved country and provide means of livelihood for their impoverished but proud countrymen. They had tacit approval from Mullah Omar himself but were meeting us on their own initiative. Here is the gist of what they had to say. All funds belonging to Afghanistan government deposited in investment banks had been frozen, including those of Ariana, the Afghan civil airlines. Afghanistan was a debt-free country and was free from the clutches of the well-known usual international donors. The government of Afghanistan would extend all and every kind of help in setting up these projects. He would have blanket approval to visit anywhere in the 95% of the area of the country under the Taliban control at that time. You would be free to pick and choose any project based on its profitability and suitability and according to our needs. Loans and help had been offered to Mullah Omar through intermediaries by the West with conditions which he refused. Osama bin Laden had contributed large sums of money to the government's kitty to pay salaries and wages to the people working for the government without any conditions. Funds coming in from that source were now a trickle. Ordinary people of the country were now dirt poor and there was hardly any gainful employment available to them, including that provided by the government. Afghanistan was in dire need of some kind of economic activity to elevate the desperate situation that was worsening fast. All Western concerns working in Afghanistan on various developmental projects had gone home, abandoning all works in hand at various levels of completion. There were foreign NGOs at work, but they were basically distributing food and making people dependent. There were foreign NGOs at work, but they were basically distributing food and making people dependent on and subservient to them for even their basic needs. These NGOs could leave at the drop of a hat, leaving the people high and dry with no alternative available to them. On hearing this woeful tale and other facts about a desperate situation in the country, my humanitarian instincts were rekindled. However, we knew that a thorough examination and research was needed before proceeding further, for risks involved were enormous. The idea of a company for an NGO to undertake this perilous journey was discussed for the first time there with Arshad and two visitors from Afghanistan. It was decided that Arshad and I should visit Afghanistan and see for ourselves what was possible and what was not. Next week after this meeting, I was taken by Arshad to meet an eminent and decorated scientist of Pakistan, Mr. Sultan Bashiruddin Mahmud. I found him to be a thoughtful, down-to-earth and humble person. He floated many ideas as to what could be done to help out a neighboring nation. He had a vision for the development of the country and was beginning to formulate concrete plans so as to bring them to fruition. My concern at this initial stage, like in any large-scale undertaking, was its commercial viability. Altruistic by nature, this was, after all, a venture. I could foresee the people who invested in it would demand to see a profit. I also wanted to understand the structure of any organization set up and my role in it and how it would be funded. To answer the questions I raised and to satisfy my curiosity, Arshad took me to Lahore a week or so after that meeting to meet the people involved in a comprehensive and detailed discussion as to how to proceed further. All those people I met there were first and foremost a motivated lot. All were in their 50s or 60s and only had a vague idea as to what was involved. Risks were weighed against opportunities and profits, and it was felt that risks were very high, but so were the profits. Besides, helping these unfortunate souls was a humanitarian gesture worth all the risks. Esoteric reasons had sway in the end, and a go-ahead was given by consensus. There was also a sense of adventure and sailing in uncharted waters. Below are sketchy details of all those I met in Lahore. 1 a retired brigadier, 3 industrialists based in Lahore, 2 retired professional engineers, 1 retired Air Force officer, Mr. Sultan, who was working as a chief engineer for a large sugar mill at that time, Arshad, a retired commodore from the Navy, 1 doctor and professor of medicine. All except 1 of the Lahore industrialists became our shareholders later on. The idea of an organization and its naming were also discussed in this meeting. The name proposed was Tagir, now UTN for short. I opposed the idea, suggesting that we let it hang loose and see how things develop at first. Besides, we could work together on varied projects within the country without belonging to an organization. as long as we sorted out amongst ourselves as to the role each had to play. Some supported the idea, and I later found out that in fact an NGO by the name of UTN had indeed been formulated about 14 months back. They had been sending delegations of concerned people to Afghanistan to see for themselves the opportunities available there. Please see chapter 6 for more details. The floor bill which we set up in the Kandahar area from November 2000 to October 2001 was under the auspices of this NGO. It was the first project to get off the ground, and such other projects, more than 40 in total, were planned to be executed when circumstances permitted and conditions were right for their implementation. Now here was a totally destroyed country of proud people. Most of them were hard-working tribal folks with traditions going back centuries. As reported in the press, that the infrastructure was almost totally damaged. How the people were surviving was beyond me, as I had not seen it so far. Arshad, the most knowledgeable amongst us, summarized the situation in the country as thus. The people were very friendly, forthcoming and helpful. Deprivation was extreme. They had so very little to go by. The government was, however, functioning. Its control was evident, and it was amazingly effective. They had a love-hate relationship with Pakistan. Some praised the intelligence agencies of Pakistan for their positive contribution, while others loathed them for their anti-Afghan policies. Hatred for the West was pervasive because of the sanctions imposed. They were suspicious of all European and American NGOs working in the country, but were allowing them to continue for the time being for want of a better alternative. We were in a position to provide that alternative by starting economic activities honestly and quickly on a countrywide scale. These conditions were all very intriguing indeed, and the picture of Afghanistan, though still vague and fuzzy, started to form before my eyes, while my mind was quickly filled with questions. How was the country functioning under such devastating conditions? How did the government exercise control with so little resources at its disposal and with no police force worth a name for use in an emergency? How was it possible that there were hardly any crime throughout the country? How the justice system organized, and was it responsive to the needs of the people? How were the foreigners working and living there, coping on a daily basis? If we went in and started development projects, would we have to deal with officialdom as set up in the country, or will there be a different tier for us? How were all these offices run, organized and managed? If the Taliban were illiterate as put out in the worldwide press, how did they operate? Would we be able to discuss, interact and get tasks done in such circumstances? What about disputes that might arise during our stay there, especially granting the nature of work we were bound to get into, which could lead to misunderstandings due to ignorance and lack of comprehension on their part? How expensive, if at all, to get justice through the courts? One worthwhile reason, and many questions later, I packed my bags and embarked upon this Afghanistan adventure. Now we go on to chapter 2 of the book. As the old saying goes, first impressions are the last impressions, and my experience with Afghanistan, they overhauled most preconceptions which I had formed in my mind prior to the first visit. An unfortunate land of conflicts and calamities it was, but was shrouded under such adverse outlooks as a nation of peace-loving and strong-willed people. Incident after incident dispelled my doubts, answered my questions, and confirmed my belief that we made the right decision to take the giant leap of faith. In September 2000, Ashad and I flew to Quetta, and after an overnight stay, took a cab to drive to Kandahar from Quetta. The cab took us across Chaman Spin Boldak border. There I got the first glimpse of the way of life in Afghanistan. While on the Pakistani side all the unnecessary checking was carried out, there was none whatsoever on the Afghan side. From Quetta to Chaman, there were about 10 security checkposts of various definitions. We were stopped at 2 of them on the Pakistani side, and after a thorough check were allowed to proceed. The contrast between the two sides was painfully obvious, and I found the crossing on the Pakistani side such a funny sight. All manners and kinds of people might be crossing with hardly any check. No passport check, no paper check, nothing. Then suddenly people would be stopped and the checking started. When I asked around for the reason for it, I was told that an officer of some department had come along on his merry rounds. This was for his consumption, so that he could report to his superiors in Quetta and Islamabad that strict control was being exercised at the border. Usually he would not stay for more than 30 minutes, as he did not want to bother the people and hinder the smooth flow of traffic across the border. This was the norm rather than the exception. The border on the Pakistani side was monitored by at least 7 different departments and agencies. Officers would all be there to make a quick buck if they could. No one was interested in the job at hand. On by subsequent several crossings on the Pakistani side, I started noticing petty cash changing hands and the guards letting go for as little as 5 rupees. There was always a rush at the border with people crossing mostly on foot and small numbers on bikes, on donkeys, on donkey carts, in cars and trucks, all with a purpose, so that the greasing of the palms could go ahead unchecked. Everybody knew it but turned a blind eye, which was to the mutual benefit of all concerned, those crossing and those checking. Sultan travelled separately from us. He started his journey in Peshawar to cross the border at Forkham, but he also saw and faced a similar situation at the border. Once he was even held up for hours by a clerk of immigration control for no apparent reason. At the border, the Immigration Department of Pakistan kept an exit control list known as ECL, which contained the names of people who were not allowed to cross the border. In practice, however, this list was being maintained only to harass the border crossers. It was almost never consulted except when the officers acting on a whim wanted to teach somebody a lesson. That day was particularly hot and humid, and the clerk decided to doubt his powers. He kept leafing through the perfectly legitimate passport of Sultan for a very long time, asking ridiculous questions as if to while away the time. Sultan got exasperated and told the clerk that a silly question begot a silly answer, and that he would be better off getting on with the job at hand. That was probably the trigger the officer was waiting for. He told Sultan that he was not satisfied with his sensible answers and called a PN to take Sultan to the big boss for further questioning. The big boss was sitting under a shady tree with friends and sipping tea. Sultan, nearly 70 years old, stood like an accused in front of this man half his age. The questions he asked were sillier than those of the clerks, and Sultan's patience almost ran out. He, however, controlled his anger and tried to remain calm. After about 2 hours, Sultan was taken back to the same clerk who entered all his antecedents in a register before letting him go.